Right, we're here today. You have been talking about attendance and the fairness of attendance rewards and the fact that we find holidays for parents to take holidays and things like that. And you guys have been chosen to give me a bit of a grilling and a bit of a question and answer session on why we do what we do. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut this as a little video clip, and we're actually going to put it on all 3 school websites, so that any parents that have got questions about attendance can go to those websites and they can look at those, so we can direct parents to it. So, I know you've been debating it in class, you've been discussing it in class. For us, we know that the children that come to school the most generally make the most progress. So our job at school is we want you to reach your potential and do the very best that you can. So for me, some of these difficult decisions we make don't always seem very nice or very fair, and you're old enough to discuss that and understand that. But what we want you know that we want you to do really well, and this is part of, we know that the children that don't attend very well tend not to make very good progress. And the ones with the best attendance tend to do the best, so that's part of it. So you guys have got some individual questions. They're going to be recorded for our website, and they're going to be on all 3 schools. So although you're leaving us this year, you will be famous on the website for a couple of years yet until we do it again. So who's got a question for me? Oliver, do you want to go first? Yeah. So what was your question?
Is it fair for parents to get fines if their children are late or they have poor attendance?
So again, I'll go back to what we said at the start. If we don't often find parents straight away if they're late, what we would tend to do is we would meet with parents, we would write to parents and tell them that they're late. We would also offer, is there anything that we don't know about? So what you're sort of saying, it almost feels like as soon as children are late, they would get fined. That would never happen. We wouldn't do that. We want to work with our parents in partnership. So we would discuss and talk to parents, and we would tell them what we were going to do before we did it. And what we normally do as well is put in a little monitoring period to say, can we improve it in this time so that we don't have to? And then if it still doesn't improve, we will fine. And the reason we do that is because we know that the children that attend really well tend to make the most progress. And our job in school is to try and get the very best out of you, but to work with parents if we can. But if not, then we do have the option to fine, and that's for lateness. But it's also if children drop below attendance. But it's not a couple of days. You'd have to be away quite a lot to get fined. It would be under about 90%. So you'd almost be having a day off every 2 weeks for quite some time before you would get fined. So does it sound fair to you on balance when you know all that extra information?
Yeah.
Does it sound fair to you or not? You don't have to agree with me. I know we're being videoed and you kind of want to agree, but do you think that's fair?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's fair? Kyle, why do you think
Because you give them like a chance to improve what they're doing.
Yeah. And why do we do it anyway? Do we do it? We don't even get the money, but a lot of parents think we get the money. We don't actually. It goes to the council.
Also because if they come in late, like so much, in the middle of when the teacher's explaining what you're trying to do, if they're coming in late, they're disrupting the class, but also wasting some of the teacher's time because they've already tried to explain what they're doing, and then they've came in late.
I think we should swap chairs, I think you better go over there. You're better than me, Meg. I've got a bit into it. No, but I hadn't even thought of that, Sienna, because I've been out of the class for a little while now. But that's a good point. It's the impact it has on the other children, and not only the child that's late. You've pointed out that you notice when children come in, it takes the teacher away from what they're doing, and that's an excellent point. So Chloe, I know you had a question for me as well.
Should sick children come into school just to get their 100% attendance award?
Oh, that's a good one. And actually, do you know what? Whenever we put attendance rewards in, and sometimes children have just missed out on them, sometimes parents have written to me and said, well, do you want me to send them in sick? And the truthful answer is no. If someone is really genuinely ill and they're really poorly, they should be at home. I haven't had a day off in working for 10 years, and I'm very proud of that. But there was probably one day in that I probably should have gone home this year. I wasn't well, I was terrible, and actually I made someone else sick. And what we don't want is children coming in and making other children ill and spreading things that we want. So we don't, but equally we want them to have good attendance. And in terms of rewards being fair, I think it is fair to reward children. So children will get rewards for winning sports day, wouldn't they, if they were quick? And sometimes that's like a natural gift. So Oliver, I know you're very good at maths. Have you won an award for maths or got house points or something like that for maths sometimes, a reward for a good maths piece of work? What reward have you got for give me an example of a piece of work you've got a reward for.
I did a piece of English, and and me and my teacher were really happy with it. So we got it sent off for other people to have a look.
Yeah, and so that was your reward. Now we reward children who are good at work, but we also have some children who find work really difficult. But they can be here every day, so we reward it for all different types of things. And if someone is really good at attending and being there and doing a good job every day, doing their best, I think it's fair to reward them for it. So Sienna, you've got a question, and when I saw the questions, I did see some of the questions beforehand that you were talking at. Yours is a very compassionate one. So what's your question?
Is it fair that children who are disabled can't get like all the rewards because they have to be at appointments? Because we're always like supporting people like disabled, but they can't always get the rewards because of that. That's
a really good point, and it links into Ollie's, and that not everyone can get every reward. Actually, we do make an exception for pupils with disabilities. If they go to a medical or consultant appointment that's linked to their condition, they still can get the 100% attendance rewards. And that actually came out of, when I was head teacher at St Mary's, a girl wrote to me called Imogen Williamson. She's about 14 now, and we had a reward, and she wrote a letter to me and said that she had this condition, and it was only her appointments for that meant that she couldn't get the 100% attendance reward. Now we published that letter to our parents, we showed them the letter, and I wrote back to her and said that I thought it was an excellent point because she was on the student council, and that in future any child who was registered disabled and missed out on 100% attendance because they were at a medical appointment for their condition could still get the rewards. So we do take that into account. But what we can't do is bend on everything, like doctors and dentists, things that could be booked at another time. But if it is linked to registered disability, then I do agree. I think it's fair that we take that into account.
But if it is dentist and they're only off for like a morning, would they still be?
No, because you can book a dentist appointment outside school time, and you can also book it in the holidays. And some parents choose to, and some choose not to. Okay. Otherwise, if you make loads of exceptions, the reward becomes meaningless. You know, so we are quite strict on it. You were a bit unlucky. With yours, weren't you? What was yours?
So I was in a pantomime that the school got to watch, and I couldn't come in for registration because I had to be at the theatre at a certain time to get ready. But then, so I only missed out on registration. I came back for the afternoon and I watched the second half because I was only in the first half. But
and you're actually with the school in the morning?
Yeah, I was with the school because the whole school was technically absent because we were all in the same room out of school.
So what we could have done,
so
it's before my time, which is a good excuse, but the truth of the matter is, Sienna, that actually you could have been marked in as late, or when the school arrived at the theatre, you could have been registered at the theatre.
Yeah.
You should, in that situation,
I was in at the afternoon.
and you were with the school, you could have actually, that could have been classed as a trip. And as long as it's coded correctly. And every year, I must say, when we hand out the 100% attendance rewards, sometimes we have a couple of queries. Most of those queries, the answer's no. But I think in your case, it could have been a yes.
Yeah.
And we don't mind parents writing to us if they think we've got it wrong. Because, you know, if someone's missed out on something they deserve, it's not right that they miss out on it.
Do you think it's fair to fine someone if they go on holiday during term time when it's cheaper?
Okay, that's a really good point. And I must say, Kyle, nearly all of the fines that we give very, very few fines for lateness. We give very, very few fines for children that are below 90% because we tend to then contact the families and they make an effort, or we work together to improve it. Nearly all of the fines that we sign off are in relation to term time holidays. It's the most frequent one. It is cheaper. It's probably at this point, Carl, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
7.
7.
No,
so
6.
So it'd be a lot cheaper for your family, Carl. Luckily, your dad works at the school, so he can't take a holiday. But yes, you're right. It is a lot cheaper for families. The other side of that is that the school is responsible for making sure you get your education and your best education, and the government doesn't like us signing holidays during term time because you are off. Do you know what fraction of the year you're actually on holiday? It's 13 weeks a year. So if there's 52 weeks in a year and we got 13 weeks holiday, what fraction of the year are we not at school? 13 over 52. It goes in quite neatly. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's a quarter. So actually a quarter of the year, 25% of the year, is holiday time. It is more expensive and there's nothing we can do about
Is that including the weekends?
No, so people could go for a long weekend, that's true. People could go away for a weekend, that's true. But equally, you have 13 weeks of the year off. So what we say is take that holiday during those 13 weeks. But Kyle, you are absolutely right. It is cheaper. And some families, even when they get the fine, which is £120 per parent, per child, it's often 60 if they pay it quickly. We do fine per parent, per child. Some families, if they're going on an expensive holiday, they will still save more money by going, so they will go, but we will fine them for doing that, so it doesn't make it quite as cheap. Yes?
Have you ever considered an educational holiday?
Well, you do school trips, so you do PGL in year 6, so yes. Parents can write to us, so what parents do is parents write to us, and they have to write to myself or Mrs. Millership, and they can ask for exceptional circumstances.
Like camping?
No, something like exceptional circumstances would be like if there was a death in the family and you needed to travel for a funeral or something like that. We can authorise that, but we don't authorise for a holiday, even if it's a little bit educational, because a lot of holidays are educational. But if we were able to do that for one family, we'd have to do it for all, and we have to be fair. If we're going to do it for one family, we can't do for one family what we can't do for everyone.
Yeah.
So have you guys got any more questions? Any further questions that you can think of? You've asked a lot of good ones. I think you've covered most of the letters I get. You've actually covered.
I think if it is holidays as well, like if they can't, if they have to go away in that certain time, then maybe we could give them like some of the work that we're covering at school, like on a sheet or something, and their parents could sort of like teach them something in that other country there.
But again, what you're saying is, because a family has chosen to take a holiday, staff have got to put work together for them, and actually, from a school's point of view, we want them in school. And it almost feels like then we're encouraging them to go, when actually we're not, we're fining them for going, and we really want to discourage it. And it's always going back to that point as, why do we do it? Is it because we get the money? No, we don't. The council get the money. But it is because we know that the children that attend most tend to do the best, and the children with the weakest attendance tend to do the poorest, and we do really want you guys to do well. Any other questions? You've done a great job. I've got some biscuits, but I must say, I thought 3 of you were coming down. I didn't, and I ate one biscuit, so anyone want one?
No.
You go for it. Go for it.
Yes, please.
Go on, Ali. No? Anyone else?
Perfect.
They've done a great job. Okay, give yourselves a round of applause.
Yay.
Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Chloe. I'm going to take a biscuit for you, Sienna and Kyle. Cheers.